Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you guys are doing great. Today we're going to talk about chapter 1 scientific investigations. Okay. There are a lot of things you guys need to know and I will try to make it as easy as possible. I will try to explain in English and Arabic. So if you have any questions, please do comment and I will answer as soon as possible. Now, first of all, what is science? What is biology? So, if you want to say about science, what is a science? Okay, they have changed the definition slightly, and what do they need from you guys is the fact to write certain things. What are those things? First of all, it is how natural world works around us. So, first of all, it's a process of allowing us to investigate and understand the natural world. You can say this as a so it is a process of understanding and investigating the world around us. You can say this. Okay, if they say what else? How do we do this? We do this by observing, asking questions, predicting, like making assumptions. إن احنا we observe معنى احنا we are very keen observing and asking questions نسأله في أسئلة and we predict يعني احنا we predict the outcome and we make tests. Okay, so what is biology? طبعا everyone knows the study of living things and there are different types of biology. أي حاجة لها علاقة بالحيوانات, anything that has to do with the animals is called zoology, and anything that has to do with plants is called botany. معناها دراسة الحيوانات ينقال عليها zoology, دراسة النباتات ينقال عليها botany. وأي حاجة بميكروب, أي حاجة لها علاقة بالميكروب, أي حاجة الأشياء التي لا ترى بالعين المجردة, anything that cannot be seen with eyes is called microbiology. Okay, we have other things. Embryology, for example, is the study of the fetus in the mother's uterus. Genetics is the study of inheritance, chromosomes, genes. Okay, the study of genes. لما نجي نتكلم على how scientists work, you have to know there are certain things you need to know. So number one, first of all, what do? Number one, they ask questions. Number two, they test hypothesis. Number three, they make investigations. باهي تو ركزوا معي. لما يسألوا الأسئلة scientists, لما يسألوا الأسئلة they are not any questions. The questions في الحالة هذه لازم يكونوا أسئلة إن احنا كيف نثبتوا الافتراضية here, or what can we do in order to make our hypothesis come true or to prove our hypothesis. So these types of questions اللي ينقالوا عليهم scientific questions مش any questions. Okay, بعدين نديروا hypothesis بتاعنا أو الافتراضية بتاعنا, or we can say another word, educated guess. It's a very important word, educated guess, because we guess something on our observation, depending on our observation and depending on our studies. It's not a random prediction or a random guess. لا, we observe something for a very long time and then we come up with the hypothesis, we come up with another word is educated guess. احنا الافتراضية بتاعتنا اصلا مدروسة, احنا درسنا او احنا تبعنا حاجة لفترة طويلة باش نقدر نفترضوا حاجة. فالافتراضية هذه جت من الدراسة اللي احنا درناها, مش جو هيك وخلاص لا احنا نعتقد هذا صار وهذا لا. This is very important for you guys to understand. نمشي اللي بعدها. لما نجي نتكلم هل بنديروا التست هو باش نثبتوا الافتراضية بتاعنا. We do a test, we do an experiment in order to prove our hypothesis. التست هذا اللي بنديروه مفروض يكون it has certain criteria حتى it's supposed to be repeatable, reproducible, reliable, fair, safe and free of bias. أولا كيف نعرف إن هم كم حاجة لازم تعرفوا إن هي أول حاجة لازم تكون safe. طبعا الشخص اللي يديرها لازم يكون in a safety position, he has to be safe. number two لازم يكون fair معناه يكون عادل. اوكي, reliable تقدر تعتمد عليه, أو repeatable. لو أنا درت الإكسبيرمنت هذا ولو حد تاني دارها حتطلع نفس النتيجة. reproducible طبعا نقدر نديرها, ما يكونش بتاع حاجة خرافية ما نقدرش نديروها, أو حاجة زي ما تقول over the budget or very expensive or very difficult things to get ما تكونش تكون بطريقة هذه أو free of bias. طبعا free of bias أوكي. أنا مثلا درت افتراضية and I think this is if I do this is supposed to be the other. فما نقعدش أنا زي ما نقول نغير ونحور باش الافتراضية اللي أنا قلتها تطلع صح. You cannot be partial, you cannot be biased about in order to prove your hypothesis. It is supposed to be free of bias. هذه معناها bias معناها partiality or that extra push for your hypothesis to be true, you know. Okay, بعدين لازم تكون you have to work with other scientists. You cannot do it if one scientist does something and the other scientist will do the other thing and then they can compare results. This saves a lot of time, okay? Then we can use international symbols. This is very important guys. علاش very importantly لأن for example I'm a doctor. If I say like this, so everyone as a doctor will understand this is the word, this is a symbol that stands for with, okay? So if I want to say like the patient's supposed to eat this medicine with, so with is written in this form. Or for example, if I say this supposed to مش معناها this معناها treatment. So what is the supposed treatment? So these are little symbols that all the doctors all around the place will understand. Uh, so this is, I mean, this is the thing you need to know. Okay. So again, if I say review, of course you need to revise, you have to see what you have done and then you have to build on each other's findings. Okay, انت لقيت الإجابة هذه وأنا لقيت النتيجة هذه. Let's build on it. خلينا نوصل ل conclusion، خلينا نوصل ل result معين. Okay, so the scientific method طبعا this is very important guys. The first thing is always observing. Okay, where did my file go? Hello. Okay, sorry. Okay, again, as I said, it's supposed to be observing. It's supposed to be after observing something or studying something for a very long time, you make a scientific question. السؤال عشان كيف أنا بنثبت الافتراضية بتاعتي. And then you'll make a hypothesis. حديد الافتراضية بتاعك or the educated guess. And then you build an experiment to prove that hypothesis, to prove that experiment. And when you build after building hypothesis طبعا بتدير حتى prediction معناها بتخمن I think if I do that thing the result will be like this, and then you need to build an experiment proving what you did, what you think is right, and then you start collecting data. I'll give you a simple example. For example, I do believe keto diet improves PCOS syndrome, or people or girls with polycystic ovarian syndrome that have a problem in ovulating, have problem in their menstrual cycle. I think keto diet helps them. So what should I do? This is my hypothesis, for example, okay? I need to put them through keto diet. For example, so I will take 15 patients and I will take 15 patients. 15 patients, I will give them a strict keto diet for example, 3 months. And the other 15 patients, I will give them a regular diet. Both of the cases are PCOS people, like 15, 15, both of them are PCOS. So what did I change? I changed the diet. One I gave direct is strict keto diet, the other I gave, for example, any other diet, yeah, normal diet. And then I will follow up. And then I will every month I will follow those patients. I will see if they're ovulating better, if they're reducing in weight, if this is helping them or not. This is called collecting data. And then I will analyze, I'll compare this people with keto diet to the people without a keto diet. This is called analyzing. And then I will reach a conclusion. Okay, for example, after 3 months I see people with a keto diet have improved their menstrual cycle immensely and they are have reduced their weight. So this is my conclusion compared to people that haven't reduced their weight. Now this was an example to make you understand what is the difference between data analyzing and conclusion. conclusion هي النتيجة. تمام، شنو هو النتيجة اللي انت وصلت لها؟ اوكي، data معناه انت اصلا بتجمع البيانات اللي انت درتها، والانالايزنج انت حتقارن البيانات هي، بعدين بتوصل الى نتيجة، والنتيجة هذه لازم تكتبها. اوكي. So questioning and predict. شو معنى questioning؟ شو معنى predicting؟ Scientists begin to make observations about things that happen. Okay. بيشوفوا حاجات they observe things and then they make questions. علاش الحاجة هذه صارت؟ This is actually why Newton, when the apple fell on him, he thought about the gravity. Why? Because he questioned. It was a scientific question. And then asking appropriate questions. You have to ask the questions. Okay. The data can be analyzed to reach conclusion. How should I do that? What investigation can I do that? بعدين نديروا testable hypothesis. شو معنى testable؟ The word testable شو معنى is very important. معناها لو انت درت التست هو someone else supposed to be able to do this test again. Okay, testable hypothesis اللي هي طبعا hypothesis is a testable explanation of an observation. Is a testable explanation انك انت or educated guess about an observation you made. So it has to be two things. It should be testable, يعني you could do it, you carry a test to make it, and it has to be falsifiable. شو معنى falsifiable؟ شو معنى falsifiable? It means there has to be a chance that it is wrong. It can be right, it can be wrong. So testable and evidence-based معنى you're not just doing the test هيك randomly وخلاص. No, it is evidence-based. You have collected data. You have, you have observed for a very long time. Then when it comes to theory, شو معنى theory and law? The difference between these two, these are very, very common questions and IELTS do ask about it. And it is the best explanation of an observation as supported by current evidence. Okay, there is an evidence that I have followed and it is the explanation for that. This is theory. But law, شو معنى? It's a description of an observation based on established evidence. شو معنى established evidence? It's not only you who have the evidence, on a repeated evidence, a number of evidences. Man, it has been a very long time that has been proved over again and again. This is the truth. So it's an established evidence. So when I say, for example, an existing knowledge that informs a hypothesis may be a form of theory, and law describes what happens rather than offering the best explanation. So it exactly tell you what happened because they're so sure of the evidence, they're so sure of the information. It has been repeated again and again. So again, revision questions, if I may ask. List the 6 basic principles all scientists follow in their work. So what are the 6? As I told you, they will have a question, they will observe, they will the 6. Or what is the scientific method? What is it? You have to explain it. Or what is a hypothesis? As I said, it's an explanation to it. It's a testable explanation to an observation. Again, what is a theory? What is a law? Again, those are important definitions that you're supposed to know. Now, prediction. If I say prediction, what does prediction means, guys? It is the expected result or outcome of an investigation. You think this will be the result. It is your prediction, but you still didn't prove it. That's what it means. If I say variable, it is a factor that can change or to be changed in an experiment. For example, when I said I chose 2 groups of patients, one I gave that both of them are PCOS, both of them are overweight, for example, both of them have the same medication, but I just changed one thing. What is that thing? That one group I have given them the keto diet and the other group I have given them the regular diet. So this is the variable, the factor that can change or to be changed in an experiment. Okay. So again, designing, planning, and conducting an investigation. You have to design and you have to collect the tools. That is called also the apparatus. Okay, so it is the controlled we have a controlled experiment. So in a controlled experiment, what is the thing? It is one variable is changed, like as I told you, the keto diet that I have changed. This is independent variable. The change in another variable is monitored. These are dependent variables. So again, so if one variable is changed, it's called independent variable. But the change in another variable is monitored. These are dependent variables. So all other factors are kept constant. Everything else will be kept constant. For all the women that I will take, for example, will be above 90 kgs. All the women will have PCOS. All the women will have certain symptoms like hirsutism, acne. I mean, everything is constant except for these are controlled variables, also known as the fixed variables. So all other factors are kept constant. So anything else that is kept constant is called the controlled variable. So the dependent, so how many in a controlled experiment, what are the things you have supposed to have? You're supposed to have an independent variable, a dependent variable, and a controlled variable. So the controlled variables are the things that are kept the same in all the individuals. يعني الحاجة اللي تقعد نفسها في كل الحالات اللي عندك. لكن if I say about the one variable that is changed، الحاجة الواحدة اللي بتتغير زي الكيتو diet and the non-regular diet, this is the independent variable. Like what about the dependent variable? The change in another variable is um, monitored. For example, أنا غيرت الدايت and something else will change too. What will it change? The weight. So the weight is a dependent variable because it depends on the diet. So if the weight, the diet doesn't change, the weight will not change. If the diet is changed, the weight will change. So in this case, the weight is the dependent variable. Okay. In an observational experiment, variables are identified and monitored over time. It is often not possible to fix or control other variables. In an observational experiment, so this is called the controlled experiment. You have another type of experiment, observational experiment. Variables are identified and monitored over time. It is often not possible to fix or control other variables. You can't control the variables. They are usually known and monitored. We just see throughout the experiment what will be the changes occurring. For example, we are experimenting about the change in the aquatic lifestyle. So for example, when the high tide, low tide, the fish gathers in a place, the salmon fish moves to another place. Like with the tide moving up and down, the number of fish going up and down, all these are called changes that happen with one another. You cannot just control one thing here. The heat, the evaporation of the water, all these things. So factors scientists consider before and during the investigation, things that, okay, now, first of all, in order to revise this slide, we have two types of experiments. What are those? Controlled and observational experiments. In observational experiment, you simply observe things. You don't interfere in them. In controlled experiment, you do interfere. I did give the keto diet. I did consider checking out, following them up. But in observational, I'm just observing what happens during when the tides are up, when the tides are down, when the salmon fish is in the fresh water, when it moves away. You know, all these things. I'm just observing. I'm not changing anything. Now, what are the things scientists consider before and during the investigations? First of all, the feasibility. What does feasibility mean? In our, I need to make sure the equipment, the things, the substances uh, are the availability of the things. Can I make all the things that I need available? Are they budget friendly or not? يعني هل أنا نقدر ندير الاكسبيرمنت هذا بالحاجات اللي نحتاجها ولا لا؟ هل الحاجات هذه غالية ولا رخيصة؟ هل الحاجات هذه متوفرة ولا مش متوفرة؟ فالحاجات هذه كلها تسمى feasibility، the availability. لما نجي نمشي ل fairness معناها لازم نكون أنا fair، لازم التست بتاعي يكون fair. لازم يكون عادل في الفيرنس. اوكي. equipment، هل انا عندي الاحتياجات كلها او لا؟ بعدين عندك reliability معناها it reduces the possible sources of error. So just reducing the possible sources of error. يعني how can I depend on for example um I need to repeat, for example, my measurements over and over again. For example, my patient, I have to check their weight again and again, their waistlines, their hands, their thighs, in order to see if they have decreased in weight or not with my keto diet. So this has got the measurements. I have to measure a lot of times. It's not just once, that's it. Safety. Again, I need to make sure my experiment will not hurt the scientists that are using it, or it will not hurt me. It will not hurt the people or the person I'm testing on. So again, and using safety for in other experiment like wearing protective equipment اللي هي goggles, masks, face shields, gloves. All these things are examples of safety measures. And then integrity اللي هي present the data produced honestly and without bias. We don't try to push it hard to make what I think is right. Then list 3 types of variables. As I said, whatever comes in your mind, we have a lot of things that can be as I said, it will be a factor that can change. For example, anything, time, weather, pH, uh, so all these are variables. Or what factors do scientists consider before and during an investigation? So what are the things that will consider or they will think about? So you need to know this. Okay, they will think about feasibility, reliability, free of bias, safety, integrity, all these things. And then producing and selecting the data. So what are the things? Data is the things that I'm gonna collect. For example, first of all, how many types of data do you have? How many types of data do you have? We have qualitative and quantitative data. So the qualitative, it records using words or lists. شو معناها؟ معناها if I say I'm comparing the effect of smoking on males and females. Is this qualitative or quantitative? It is qualitative because I'm comparing between men and women. It's not a quantity. It's about like two different things, or lists of different species, or something that I can measure. Okay, but when I say quantitative, quantitative is the amount. For example, the quantity of something that will affect if I use more salt, what will be the result if I use less salt, the quantity of something in a test. Then primary and secondary data. Again, it is divided into qualitative, quantitative, and then it's divided into primary and secondary. Primary data is the one that I collect by myself. I do the experiment, I collect it, okay? Like in secondary data is the data collected by other scientists and used as a source of information, okay? I will not doing this. So if any other scientist did this, and I get his results, I use this information, it's called secondary data. But if I do the experiment and I collect the result, this is called the primary data. Analyzing the data. شو معنى analyzing the data? You need to, as I said, you need to compare between two groups. You need to see um, the explanation between relationship between variables can be used to predict what will happen. You need to see the results. You need to explain why they have occurred. All this is analyzing the result. Okay, I think, for example, with the keto diets, people have lost the weight. Women have lost weight. They have reduced body fat. If they reduce the fat in their body, the conversion from estrogen to testosterone has decreased, and thus this enhanced their ovulation. Analyzing that again is the same thing. So again, there are different types of errors. So we're having a random error and a systematic error. A random occurs when repeated parts of the investigations are not done in exactly the same way. So when you repeat an experiment, it's not exactly done the same way. But a systematic error occurs when repeated parts of investigations are done incorrectly each time. So look, the random error is like it's not done exactly the same, but in a systematic error, they are done incorrectly. So we need to know where this error or this something that is wrong it comes from. أول حاجة accurate measurements are close in value to the correct or expected value. الaccurate حاجات اللي هما ما فيهمش خطأ بكل هيكونوا very accurate. Okay, هيكونوا very accurate. It means they will be very close to the expected value. لكن precise, they're very precise يعني هم يكونوا نفسهم بالضبط. لكن this is the accurate data. Evaluating data in terms of repeatability and reproducibility. Repeatability, it means an experiment as a part of the same study and getting the same result. I repeat the experiment again and again and I'll have the same results. So this is repeatable, this experiment. And reproducibility, it is that repeating an experiment as part of a different study and getting the same result. I repeat again. Repeatability, repeating an experiment as part of the same study. يعني I'm studying something and I will repeat my experiment again. It is repeatable باش نشوف إن هذه هل نقدر نعاودها مرة تانية الإكسبيرمنت أو لا. Reproducibility معناها حتى أنا دايرة الإكسبيرمنت وأنا بنعاود الإكسبيرمنت تاعها باش نتأكد من الريزلتس يطلعوا لي نفس اللي هو طلعوا له ولا لا. So it is just if it is the first or the second person who is doing it or the third person. Okay, data is repeatable. شو معنى data is repeatable؟ معناها if the patient or if the scientist they do the same experiment, they'll collect the same data. معناها الحاجات اللي هم يدوروا يشوفوا فيها يجمعوا فيها بيانات تبدأ نفسها. والdata is reproducible معناها الشخص تاني بيعاود الاكسبيرمنت بتاعك وبيطلع بيجمع الداتا والداتا تكون عادة نفسها نفس النتائج. Repeating and reproducing an experiment is more than once has the benefit of providing a larger data set of analysis for analysis and stronger support for the hypothesis. يعني if I did this experiment وأنا فكرتي هي ومعايا 10 تانيين scientists داروا نفس الاكسبيرمنت فاللي أنا بنديره هو repeatable يعتبر هما لما بيعودوها بيكون reproducible هما they will prove this experiment is reproducible وأنا لما بندير الاكسبيرمنت بتاعي يعني نثبت إن أنا repeatable experiment بتاعي. شو معنى valid؟ معناها لما results بتاعي my results they allow the original uh, hypothesis to be accessed معناها الhypothesis الأصلي to be accessed باش نوصل للhypothesis. And when measurements collected are what the scientists set out to measure. Drawing and justifying conclusions. A conclusion of investigation states whether or not the hypothesis has been supported. A conclusion يثبت أن hypothesis is supported or not. If the hypothesis is supported, the investigation may be repeated. If the original hypothesis is not supported, the new hypothesis may be formulated. So this usually proves in الconclusion شو معناها؟ الconclusion what السمري الأخير اللي أنا بنقوله يعني اللي أنا التست اللي درته والحالات اللي جمعتهم واللي أنا كنت أحسبها for example keto diet يساعد على الأوفيوليشن هل هذا صح ولا لا؟ لو طلع لي بالنتائج بتاعي تثبت إن كلامي صح معناه it supports supports the hypothesis. لكن لو طلع كلامي إنه ما فيش فايدة ما فيش أي فرق، معنى لازم نرجع ونغير الهيبوثيسيس بتاعي، نغير الحاجة اللي الافتراضية اللي أنا فرضية بتاعي. So what are the two different types of data? As I told you, the data can be reproducible or repeatable. Repeatable if the scientist is doing it. Reproducible, other scientists are doing it. What is the difference between these two types of data? As I told you. Okay, so what are the potential sources of errors? As I said, the errors can be more than once. Again, if I revise this quickly, errors احنا عندنا شنو types of errors. It can be systematic error or a random error. And what must data produced in an experiment be? Data should let you know what about the experiment نفسها. So is this experiment is the conclusion, like it will either give you a conclusion that will support or negate the hypothesis. يعني بتمشي تثبت الhypothesis يعني بتنفيها. So this was your chapter 1. Hope you go through it, understand it, and I will send you the slides. Please study it. If you have any questions, send me your questions. All the very best.